A while ago, I was sitting in a coffee shop in Canary Wharf, London's business district, and I overheard two colleagues speaking. They were talking about a meeting. In amongst the clinking of coffee cups and quiet chatter, I heard one of them say to the other, "We need all hands on deck." And he continued, "If any problems arose, we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it." For the next 30 minutes, the air fizzed and popped with language that belonged to another world, the working world. And it struck me that in order to operate in this environment, one had to be familiar with a wide range of business-specific vocabulary, just like the ones that I'd heard. So today, we're going to look at 10 business idioms you need to know if you are working in English. Before we do, make sure you download your free digital book, 20 Brilliant Business Phrases. I've picked out 10 phrases that you can incorporate into your emails and 10 more business idioms. They are all in the book. You can get your copy by clicking the link in the description below. Our first business idiom is to bend over backwards. If you bend over backwards, you make an extra special effort to do something. I'm bending over backwards to make things work between me and my new boss, but there's only so much I can do. So in this situation, perhaps your new boss is a little bit difficult, not very easy to work with, so you are making an extra special effort to make it work. So to bend over backwards. All right, number 2, to give something the green light. If you give something the green light, you give approval or official permission for it to happen. So an example sentence, we've been given the green light to go ahead with the merger. So we've got official permission or approval to do the merger. Obviously, this idiom comes from the traffic light system where green means go. So as you can imagine, if you apply it to a business context, green means you've got approval, go ahead with your plan. To have a lot of plates spinning or to have a lot of spinning plates. This means that you have many different activities going on at once. Imagine it, you're spinning plates. You're trying to keep them all up in the air. So you have lots of things going on. And it's quite challenging, right? It's not easy to do. Today's been hectic. I've got a lot of plates spinning at the moment. A similar kind of phrase would be to have a lot on your plate. So we're using that plate analogy again. So if you have a lot on your plate, then you have a lot to do, right? Not necessarily lots of different activities, but just a lot of work. Whereas if you've got a lot of spinning plates, they are different activities or tasks that you need to do. This is a great one, to get your wires crossed. If 2 or more people get their wires crossed, they misunderstand each other or they have a different understanding of the same situation. So for example, one person thought they were going to have a meeting at 8 a.m. and the other person thought it was 8 p.m. They've got their wires crossed. I'm so sorry, I thought you were going to book the meeting room. I'm sorry, look, we must have got our wires crossed. Our next one, hands are tied. If one's hands are tied, then you can't do what you want to do because of certain restrictions or rules. I mean, literally, if you imagine your hands being tied, you can't do what you want to do, you can't move. Well, it's the same idea in a business sense. You can't do whatever you want to do, whether that's make a decision or change something. Your hands are tied. You can't do it. I'd love to give you the day off, but my hands are tied. So I'd love to give you the day off, but I can't because of rules or regulations. This is a nice one, to be on top of something. If you're on top of something, you're in complete control of a situation. So we often talk about being on top of work. Like, don't worry, I'm on top of it. Like, I've got this. Like, I'm in charge. I know what I'm doing. Don't worry about it. So someone might say, who's organising the Christmas party? And you say, Jade's on top of it. Like, Jade's in control of it. A classic one, to think outside the box. This means to think in new, creative or unconventional ways, in ways that you hadn't done before, in order to solve a problem or come up with a solution. So often you're asked to think outside the box, and that means we need you to think differently. Don't think how you normally do. Try and come up with other solutions. I want you guys to think outside the box on this one, okay? Like, we really need to make this a creative campaign. So you'll often hear it in creative industries, like in TV or advertising. Like, hey team, we need to think outside the box. We need to think differently. This is a very British idiom, to move the goalposts. If you move the goalposts, you unfairly change the conditions or the requirements of something. So for example, in a contract negotiation, if one party is asking for, let's say, £1 million, and then suddenly they say, actually, no, we want £1.5 million. Well, they've moved the goalposts. The conditions that were originally set have now changed. So you've moved the goalpost. If you think about what goalposts really are in football, the goal, and then if you hit the ball at it and then you move the goalposts, the ball will miss the goal, and that's unfair, right? So to move the goalposts in a negotiation, in talks, in your demands for something, can be unfair, right? But it does happen. Yeah, we thought we'd found an agreement, and then at the last minute, they moved the goalpost. This is a fun one, to have a finger in every pie. So if you have a finger in every pie, then you are involved in lots of activities at the same time. So for example, you might have your job, and then you might have a side hustle business, and then you might be on the board of something else, and then you might be volunteering over here. And so you have your fingers in lots of pies, right? You're involved in many different things. Now, it can be used in a slightly derogatory way, like they're influencing lots of things in a negative way. But it can just be like, look, they're very busy in life. They've got lots of things going on. They have lots of influence in the world. So it can be both. Taylor's the person you need to call. She seems to have a finger in every pie over there at Meta. And our last one, to be up to speed. If you are up to speed, you have the latest information about something. So you'll often hear this in meetings when you need to update people on what's been happening with something that's going on. You might say, guys, can you bring us up to speed? Like, can you update us on what's happening? Yasmin, can you bring everyone up to speed on the latest with the Sony deal? This one is fantastic. You will hear it all the time in a business context. If you found those 10 business idioms useful, you will love my free digital book, 20 Brilliant Business Phrases. You can download it in the description below. Go get it. It's absolutely free. And of course, I'd love you to share your favorite business idiom in the comments below.